Have you ever had one of those days? You wake up with a dark cloud over your head, a nagging feeling that something is going to go wrong. You just know it's going to be a bad day. And then, it is. You spill your coffee, you get stuck in traffic, you have an argument with a friend. It feels like the universe itself is conspiring against you, listening to your bad mood and saying, "Oh, you want a bad day? I'll give you a bad day." We usually dismiss that feeling. We call it a coincidence, or say our bad mood just made us notice the negative things more. But what if it's not that simple? What if that creepy feeling, that sense that your inner world is somehow bleeding into the outer world, is actually real? What if your deepest, most hidden fears are not just thoughts trapped inside your head, but are more like a magnetic force, subtly pulling and shaping the random chaos of the world to match their own terrible script? What if the universe is listening, not to your words, but to your fears? And what if a team of brilliant scientists found a way to actually test this, to see if they could catch the universe in the act of listening? Welcome to Summary Thought. This is the place where we dive into the rabbit hole of the most mind-blowing ideas on the planet. Today, we have a story for you that is part science, part mystery, and part ghost story. It's a real-life scientific adventure that asks one of the most profound questions we can ask. Is reality something that just happens to us, or is it something we help create, moment by moment, with the power of our own minds? Here's the journey we're about to take together. First, we're going to meet the Ghost Hunters, a team of scientists who dared to investigate this spooky connection between mind and matter. Then, we'll step inside their incredible laboratory, a lab that used a special machine powered by the pure, untamed randomness of the universe itself. And finally, we will uncover the absolutely shocking secret they found hidden in their data, a discovery that might just change the way you think about your own fears, your own thoughts, and your own life forever. This incredible story comes from a scientific paper published in the Journal of Anomalous Experience and Cognition. It's called Testing the Effects of Personality-Related Beliefs on Micro-PK, and it was brought to us by a team led by the researcher Marissa Julia Jacob. Get comfortable and open your mind. This is going to be a wild ride. Part 1. The Whisper in the Crowd. Let's start with an idea that sounds like it belongs in a comic book: mind over matter. The power to influence the physical world with nothing but your thoughts. Now, you're probably picturing superheroes bending steel bars or floating in the air. But the idea these scientists were chasing is something far more subtle, more mysterious, and frankly, more believable. Think of it not as a superpower, but as a whisper effect. Imagine you're standing on one side of a massive, bustling train station. The crowd is a sea of random noise and movement. Your friend is on the other side, and they can't see you. You can't shout over the noise. But what if you could just whisper their name, and that tiny vibration, that whisper of intention, could somehow ripple through the chaos of the crowd, subtly nudging people, shifting the flow of movement, until your friend, for no reason they can explain, turns their head and looks directly at you. That's the idea. It's not about using your mind like a sledgehammer to force reality to change. It's about using your consciousness like a whisper that gently influences the flow of randomness. The scientific name for this is Psychokinesis, but we can just call it the whisper effect. For decades, this has been a ghost story told by scientists. A fascinating idea, but one that seemed impossible to prove. How can you possibly test for a whisper? The world is a messy, noisy place. A flipped coin, a rolled die, these things aren't truly random. They're affected by the wind, the table, the oil on your fingers. To hear a whisper, you first need perfect silence. To test for a mind's influence on chaos, you need a source of perfect, untamable chaos. And for that, the scientists had to build a very special kind of magic box. Part 2. The Box of Pure Chance. The team of researchers knew they couldn't use a computer program to generate random numbers because at the end of the day, those are just very complicated patterns. They needed something that was truly, genuinely 100% unpredictable. They needed to tap into the engine of the universe itself. So they built their experiment around a device we can call the Box of Pure Chance. The technical name is a quantum random number generator, but what it does is pure magic. Imagine a tiny, sealed box. Inside this box, a machine fires a single particle of light, one little photon, at a special kind of mirror. This isn't a normal mirror, it's more like a ghost mirror. When the light particle hits it, it has a perfect 50/50th chance of either passing straight through it or bouncing off. According to everything we know about the laws of physics, there is absolutely no way to predict what it will do in any given moment. It is the universe flipping a perfect, flawless coin. The box would simply record whether the light passed through, let's call that a 1, or bounced off, let's call that a 0. This box was the heart of their experiment. It was their perfect silence, their perfect chaos. It was a blank canvas. Now came the big question. Could a human heart, with all its hopes and fears, become the paintbrush? To find out, they invited over 2,400 people to participate in their study. These weren't special people with superpowers. They were ordinary people, just like you and me. Before the experiment began, the scientists wanted to get to know them. Specifically, they wanted to understand what kept them up at night. They wanted to know about their deepest, most secret fears. They used a special questionnaire to find people who carried 3 very common, but very powerful types of worry. You'll probably recognize these people. You might even be one of them. First, they found the worrier. This is the person whose greatest fear in life is being abandoned. Their heart aches at the very thought of the people they love leaving them or being angry with them. They live with a constant, quiet anxiety that whispers, "Are you mad at me? Are we okay? Please don't go." Second, they found the wallflower. This is the person who desperately wants to be liked and accepted, but is utterly terrified of being judged or rejected. The fear of saying the wrong thing, of being laughed at, is like an invisible cage. They might stand at the edge of a party, wishing they could join in, but the fear of what others might think is a wall of ice holding them back. And third, they found the perfectionist. This is the person who needs to feel that they are in control of their lives. Their world is like a tower of blocks they've built very carefully, and they live with a constant fear that one mistake, one forgotten detail, will make the whole thing come crashing down. Their inner voice is always asking, "Did I do that right? Did I miss something? Is everything going to fall apart?" Once the scientists knew who was who, the real magic show began. Picture this. One of these people, let's say one of the worriers, is sitting alone in front of a computer screen. They've been told their only job is to sit there and pay attention. In a moment, a sentence is going to flash on the screen. But which sentence will it be? That's entirely up to the box of pure chance. The box was programmed with 2 different piles of sentences it could choose from. In the first pile were sentences designed to hit the worrier right in the heart of their deepest fear. Sentences like, "Will we pardon dispute?" Or, "Is she mad at me?" In the second pile were the most boring, neutral sentences you can possibly imagine. Things like, "The shirt is white," or "We see a forest." For each and every trial, the box of pure chance would flip its perfect quantum coin. If it came up 0, a fear sentence would appear. If it came up 1, a boring sentence would appear. Plain and simple logic says that over 30 tries, our worrier should see about 15 fear sentences and 15 boring ones. It should be a 50-50 split. But the scientists made a bet. It was a crazy, spooky, wonderful bet. They bet that the worrier's deep unconscious fear of abandonment, just by them sitting there and observing the screen with intention, would somehow reach into that box of pure chance. They bet that their fear would act like a tiny invisible finger and tip the scales of the universe's coin just enough to make it land on fear, a little more often than it should. They were betting that a person's soul could whisper to a machine, and the machine would whisper its deepest fears right back at them. Part 3, The Ghost in the Machine Speaks. The experiment was over. The data was collected. The scientists had mountains of it, hundreds of thousands of perfect coin flips from the box of pure chance. With bated breath, they sat down to analyze the numbers. Were they about to find proof of a ghost in the machine? Or was it all just going to be random noise? First, they looked at the data from the wallflowers, the people afraid of rejection. Then they looked at the data from the perfectionists, the people afraid of losing control. In both cases, the results were normal. The box of pure chance had given them a pretty even 50-50 mix of fear sentences and boring sentences. It seemed the whisper of their minds wasn't getting through. It was just random noise after all. But then they looked at the data from the worriers, the people who were terrified of being abandoned, and what they saw sent a shiver down their spines. It wasn't 50-50. It wasn't random. It wasn't even close. For the people whose deepest, most consuming fear was being left alone, the box of pure chance had consistently chosen to show them sentences about being left alone. The whisper had gotten through. The data showed a clear, statistically significant, and undeniable bias. Let that sink in. A group of ordinary people, by doing nothing more than sitting in a chair and watching a screen, seemed to be influencing a machine that was powered by the fundamental randomness of the quantum universe. Their inner fear of abandonment was being mirrored back to them by the outside world in a way that defied the known laws of chance. It was as if their fear was a ghost in the machine, and it was whispering its favorite, terrible stories. The scientists, in their careful academic language, put it in a way that will give you goosebumps. They wrote that their findings suggest that intentional observation biases quantum random number generator outcomes related to individuals' implicit concerns, potentially leading to self-fulfilling prophecies. In other words, our secret fears might not just make us act in ways that make them come true. They might be subtly bending reality itself to give us exactly what we're afraid of. Part 4. So, what in the world is happening? Okay, let's just pause and breathe for a second. How is this even possible? Is this a glitch in the matrix? A scientific error? Or is it a clue to one of the biggest and most beautiful mysteries of all, the true nature of our reality and our place in it? The researchers believe this might be evidence for a breathtaking idea dreamed up by two of the greatest minds of the 20th century, the psychologist Carl Jung and the physicist Wolfgang Pauli. They imagined that our reality isn't what it seems. Think of it like this. Imagine that the universe, at its deepest level, is like a single vast underground ocean. And our minds, our thoughts, feelings, and fears are like one kind of wave that appears on the surface. And the physical world, the chairs, trees, and computers, is another kind of wave. On the surface, they look like two completely separate things, a mind wave and a matter wave. But deep down, underneath it all, they are both made of the exact same water. They both come from the same single source. This theory suggests that a really powerful emotional energy, like the raw primal fear of being abandoned, isn't just a little ripple on the surface of the mind side. It's a disturbance so powerful that it goes deep down into the very heart of the ocean itself, and it actually changes the shape of the matter waves that rise to the surface. Your fear doesn't just stay in your head. It echoes in the very substance of reality. But why did it only work for the worriers? Why was the fear of being alone the magic key that unlocked this power? Maybe because it's the most fundamental human fear of all. As babies, we are born completely helpless. We need connection to other people to survive. The terror of abandonment is written into our biology, into our very DNA. It's possible that this ancient, powerful, and deeply human fear is the one that speaks the universe's language most clearly. This study doesn't give us all the answers. It does something far more exciting. It throws open a door to a profound mystery and gives us a reason to walk through it. It suggests that we are not just characters in a movie called life. We are also, in some small mysterious way, the directors. And our deepest, most unconscious emotions might be the very tools we use to shape the script. So, what does this mean for you and me living our lives every day? This incredible research isn't saying you can wish for a winning lottery ticket and make it appear. It's suggesting something much deeper and perhaps a little more challenging. It's suggesting that the world we experience might be a mirror reflecting our deepest inner state back to us. If you walk through life carrying a deep-seated belief that you will be abandoned, the universe might just be conspiring to show you evidence that you're right. But here is the most important part. Here is the hope. If our fears can have this power, then what about our other emotions? What about our courage? What about our joy? What about our love? This research is a powerful, profound invitation to look inward, to become a detective of our own hearts. to bravely ask ourselves, what are the secret stories I carry inside me? Because those stories might not just be stories. They might be the blueprints for the world we get to live in. Thank you for going on this mind-bending journey with us here at Summary Thought. Our mission is to build a community of curious minds who are brave enough to ask the big questions. So, if this story sparked something inside you, I truly want to hear about it. Let's talk in the comments. What do you believe is going on here? And if you feel that ideas like this are worth exploring and spreading, the very best way you can support our mission is to share this video with a friend, give it a thumbs up so more people can find it, and of course, subscribe to join us for our next adventure into the heart of what's possible. Until next time, pay attention to your thoughts. They might just be the most powerful creative force in the universe.